So, welcome, you guys. Welcome back to Chloe with Love and Relationships. This group is focused on dating and relationships. My name is Chloe Ballatori. I am a relationship and communication expert. I'm a graduate of Princeton University and Pat Allen's Want Institute. I work with men, I work with women, I work with couples, I work with teenagers. I've been doing this work for over a decade, and I've also written several books on this work. They're all available on Amazon. The first book, How to Live, Find, Love, and Keep It, has the basics of this work. So if you're looking for kind of a reference book, that's that one. But all my books have something unique. My second book, New Ways of Being, The Pain of Change, is all about what happens once you start making changes, even changes for the better, is that there's that unexpected pain of change that people don't anticipate. My third book, Secrets to a Good Marriage. I've been married 22 and a half years. And so everything that I'm going to be teaching you guys tonight, I have also used and vetted myself. And finally, my last book, Daddy Issues, Mommy Issues, that has a lot of stuff in it about um, my work with my clients and how scripting shows up specifically in our love lives. Okay, so when we talk about relationships, and specifically when we talk about problems in relationships, what we're really referring to is usually childhood trauma, either trauma with a small t or a big T, doesn't really matter in this context. Um, but anything that separates you from your innocence when you're a child between the ages of 0 to 12. And everything that happens between these ages has a greater import on us than things that happen later in life, simply because they're occurring during critical developmental windows. Now, human children are very dependent, and so they need to often sacrifice their authenticity in order to attach to the people who own the refrigerator, right? Now, based on these attachment strategies, children form what they think are existential truths. But these are really just coping strategies of the moment. And when we bring these coping strategies into our adult lives, and specifically into our intimate relationships, that's when we begin to sabotage ourselves. And the subconscious and the unconscious mind will do it in a way that your conscious mind could never figure out. Um, that's why people, often come to me and they say, God, I can't believe it. I married my dad after all, or I married my mom after all. Because the psyche seeks to replace the people from our childhood and then work it out with them in order to relieve the trauma and to process the pain. But of course, that's doomed to fail. This is a psychological phenomenon known as the repetition compulsion. It basically means that we're doomed to repeat that which we don't understand. And we repeat things that are familiar because the familiarity brings us a certain comfort, and being right brings us a certain comfort, but it doesn't bring us joy. And so we need to bring first a lot of awareness to these patterns. And second, we need to bring change, either taking an action or stopping taking an action. So we need to first bring awareness and then we need to change our behavior. Okay. Oftentimes one of the things that happens when we have childhood trauma is we become ego dystonic, which basically means you become precociously related. Everybody, you grow up too fast. Everybody is both masculine and feminine, right? And this has been proven. I mean, this goes back to the science of yin and yang, that's like thousands of years old, right? And all Chinese medicine is based on the principles of yin and yang and a balance. But we also have Western studies about the human brain that prove definitively that we all of us have a right side of the brain that is feminine, that is the world of magic and feelings of sensuality, sexuality, creativity, nonlinear thinking, um, passive, patient, vulnerable. This is our receiving side. Feminine energy is in the world to make it fun, but it's not of the world. And then all of us have that left brain, which is the single-minded thinking. This is when we're doing, competing, conquering, controlling, giving, taking care of. This is most of us are in our left or our masculine brain when we're at work. Um, and masculine energy is very much of the world. So all of us are both feminine and masculine, and all of us have a unique balance to our authentic selves. Excuse me. That balance gets thrown off when we have childhood trauma. And so very oftentimes feminine energy people, whether they be boys or girls, become masculine, and masculine energy people become more feminine. And so this is one of the reasons that our adult romantic relationships can often be unbalanced because we have this ego dystonia. And the archetypes that represent that are the Peter Pan archetype, where the boy who never grows up, who never takes responsibility, who's never going to get married and have a family, right? And the Wendy archetype, is the girl who grew up too soon, who had to take on responsibility, who had to become everybody's mommy, right? And so these are the two archetypes that I often work with because they're the most common forms of ego dystonia. Okay. When we are looking at what's going to bring us the most happiness, the most success in our relationships, including the relationship that we have with ourselves, what we're looking at is that balance of between the yin and yang energy. Because if we have two yang energy people, there's a power struggle for control. And if we have two yin energy people, there's a power struggle for sympathy and tears. And so we really look for that complementary energy. And those are the most successful relationships. When you have strengths and weaknesses that are complements to the strengths and weaknesses of your partner. Um, it's too much sameness leads to competition, and competition kills chemistry. Okay, so those are the basic psychological and scientific principles that anchor the work that I teach. Those principles aren't really in question. Those are things that have mostly been proved. What's unique about this work are the tools to execute on those principles. And those are the tools that I teach. Um, so that's the background. Now I'm going to answer your questions. You can ask me anything really. It doesn't have to be about love and relationships because these principles and these dynamics, once you understand them, will give you an edge in any situation. But you know, dating and relationships is my specialty. So feel free to raise your hand or put something in the chat, and then I'll unmute you. And I also love to hear your guys' updates. It's really nice to hear you guys go out on the road, use these tools, and report back so that everybody can learn and benefit from them. This is the one free event that I do. Tonight is my second to last night of the year. Next week will be my last night of the year. Then I'm going to be on a break until after the holidays. So, if you guys have questions, ask away. Um, this is your opportunity. Everybody's good? Even if you have a question about something I said, so maybe something that happened last week, um, somebody else's work, that's also valid as well. And yes, again, update. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, since no one's jumping in, I'll just give a quick update.
Okay, good.
So, the Los Angeles guy,
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so the last thing was I said I truly wish you well, and thinking that was it. So
Right. And he said same, right?
no, he didn't say anything.
Oh, okay.
His last words was when I complained about him, he said agreed. He
Oh,
agreed.
okay. Okay.
And I said, I truly wish you well. And so then it was a number of days. He messaged me, said he was back from, an overseas work thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, that I'm the kind of person that he would like in his life, and the distance is hard, and could we be friends? And I just didn't respond. That just
Smart.
seemed really
Yeah.
strange to me. I mean, if he
There's
can't
something
come
really
down,
suspicious about him. Things aren't li like you said, things just aren't lining up.
yeah. So that's it, really.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear you're holding strong. Good for
Yeah.
you. Okay. Brenda. Hi, Brenda. I'm trying to unmute you.
Hello?
Oh, there you are. Hi.
Good evening. Good
Hi, how
evening.
can I help you?
Well, like for me, it is very, like you said, the problems that you had when you were young, it
Right.
does affect you in your relationship. Like for me,
Yes.
attachment issue. And I am 44 years old and I did date before. I've been single for 7 years, but in those times I dated two people, um, one for 2 months. And my last relationship, I like literally had so much attachment issues. I don't know. I think I did too much.
What do you
Too
mean
much.
attachment issues? You're saying you're anxious attachment, you're avoidant attachment? What?
Yes. Yes. Um, I like wanting him to call me, like, where are you? Like afraid of losing him.
Just being
Like if I
super clingy and feeling you were
yes,
abandoned at all times, even when things were totally normal.
exactly.
Okay. Okay, so you scared him away with that.
Well, no,
No?
it's like on and off, and then, he's gonna get tired of me. I mean, I've done a lot of stuff and I'm like, oh my God, I can't. Not even when I was married for 21 years
Uh-huh.
and I didn't have this problem.
That's
And
interesting. And then now it's just surfaced, huh?
now it's like, oh my God, like what did I do? Like what's going on? And
Okay, so are you still with this guy?
we're taking a break.
Okay. But you want
Yeah,
to be with him.
I do, but it's like I know I have a problem. I know that I'm very clingy and
Right.
you know, I just, want to be like motherly also, like, hi, how are you? Like, how are you? And it's like, okay, I need to
Okay.
stop.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. In your intimate relationships, what do you want more? Do you want to get your feelings cherished or do you want to get your thoughts respected? Everybody wants both, but in awkward situations, in conflicts, which is more important to you?
I want him to understand me. I want him to understand me
Your
and my
you want him to take care of your feelings or respect your thoughts?
to understand my feelings.
Your feelings. Okay. So you want the feelings cherished. Okay. So that's technically the yin or the feminine energy. Okay. Now, the thing about being in yin or feminine energy is that one of the key aspects to it is being vulnerable. And those of us who've had childhood trauma aren't real excited about being vulnerable in a relationship, right? Because that's what got us into trouble before. Um, Yet, ironically, that's the chance we need to take in order to heal our trauma. Now, has this guy Has he, do his words and his deeds line up? Is he a
No.
respectable man? No.
I mean, he is respectable in a way that, I mean, that he like the people that he knows, respect him, and he's, but
But I
to
mean,
me,
does he have integrity? What does he mean what he says and says what he means?
to me, not to me.
Not to you.
Yeah, not to
Okay.
me.
Okay. So that's a big red flag. And so that right there is throwing you off balance. Just that alone is that inconsistency. And that makes it hard to be vulnerable when somebody's inconsistent and you can't go by what they're saying. Words and deeds have got to line up. Otherwise, what you've done is you found somebody who can replace one of the figures of your childhood, probably your dad, and you're trying to work out your problem on him by changing him, by convincing him to like you. And
Mm-hmm.
that's never going to work.
Exactly. Like, I'm here. Pay attention.
Right. And if you want to be in the feminine energy, then he's got to step up. He's got to pursue you.
Hmm.
You know, that's part of cherishing your feelings. That's part of being masculine. Um, Now, sometimes we can push a man into the masculine by respecting him. But I don't know if this guy deserves respect because his words and deeds don't line up.
Yeah.
So, he may not be the right guy. We can sometimes have enormous amount of chemistry for people who fulfill the roles of our childhood scripts. But though that's usually not the person that we end up marrying. So, chemistry is one element that you need for a successful relationship. You also need compatibility, which means do you want the same things? Is one of you in the masculine? Is one of you in the feminine? Does somebody cook? Something as basic as that. And then
Mm-hmm.
thirdly, communication. And that's what we can work on the most. Compatibility can work on a little. Chemistry, it's usually either there or it's not. Sometimes it can grow, but um yeah, I mean, in your situation, if he's not cherishing you, if he's not pursuing you, then you're not going to be able to be in the feminine. And I don't recommend building, I mean, everybody can be a jerk sometimes, but I don't recommend building with people whose words and deeds don't line up.
Yes, I know. It's just been hard.
Okay, well, good for you for taking a break. Um, you guys know I do. This group is great because we get to learn from each other and we get to hear the basics. But to really go deep on some of these issues, we do need to set up a private. So if you want to do that, I'm going to put my credentials into the chat again, and then we can go deeper. I also teach this work a few times a year. You can sign up for that. That's the module packages if you guys are into that as well.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. Um, Okay, let's see who's next. Um, okay. Jasmine, what do you think of matchmaking services? I think that they can work sometimes. I was working at one point with a matchmaker. You know, it just I'm a little skeptical of them. It really depends on the matchmaker and it kind of depends on the culture, your cultural background, your epi scripting. It might be worth a shot. A lot of times women don't have to pay for matchmaking. Are you thinking about doing it?
Yeah, so Chloe, hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Yeah, so this is like a related question. So I heard that like this, some people say we often don't know what's best for us,
Right,
like they're too picky or we are settling too much,
right.
and the matchmaker can help you. And my friend told me, um, she used this Talkify. This women actually
Oh, an
do.
app. Oh, okay.
Yeah, do need to pay. It's actually like $1,000 for each date.
Oh, wow. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. So I was.
I don't really have any clients who are doing that. The clients that I have tried the in-person matchmaker,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Oh,
Um, but that does sound like a big investment, I have to say. I know
yeah,
they've had a big ad campaign. I've seen a lot of their stuff.
right.
Have you been trying the other things that we've talked about, doing the five flirts and
Oh, I try, but it's kind of challenging, especially for introverts.
right?
Yeah. And I'm also wondering what you think, because I don't know, do you think um I mean how to find the balance? So because sometimes when you feel like, oh, like when you are more down, you feel like, oh, I just find, oh, maybe I should lower my standards, but
Yeah,
then but yeah, if you're settling too much, then you're not happy. But then you also don't want to go the other extreme, like they'll say, oh, if you're too picky,
right.
you're gonna find someone. How do you see this? How do you know like someone is you're not being too extreme on either side?
Well, that's why the greatest thing you can do when you are single and you're looking for somebody is work
Mm-hmm.
on your own internal balance. Because the more balanced you can be, the clearer you'll be able to see other people, other options. A lot of times there's people in front of you, but if you're scripted, you will only see certain things. It's like having blinkers or blinders on your eyes, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
you can only see like tunnel vision or just certain things here or there. And so that's why, it's great to, when you don't have someone, working on cherishing your own feelings, respecting your own thoughts, taking those actions. And
Mm-hmm.
that way you're more balanced so that when you do meet somebody, it will be more obvious to you that they have the qualities that you want. Nobody's a sure thing, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Right.
but you know, trusting your instincts, being feminine, that's why doing duty dating, which is basically dating people who ask you out, even if you're not hugely interested, so you can just practice being in your feminine so that when
Mm,
you do meet someone you like, so that you've got a little momentum going, so that you don't get so nervous you don't know what to do. So
mm,
cultivating that feminine side of you especially is going to help you when you go into your relationship, and it's going to help you see
mm-hmm.
like the red flags and the warning signs and the dynamics much sooner than you would otherwise. These tools really give you an edge in that way.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so, you'll be surprised. You start working with the tools, you're working on your and cherishing your feelings, then you meet a guy and you he'll say something, he'll do something, it'll be non-cherishing, and you'll know right away he's not the guy for you, you know. Like you
Mm.
tell him you're cold and he's like, "No, it's hot in here." And
Mm.
ignores, and discounts your feelings, like that's a really bad sign. You'd only know that from coming to this group and doing this work and working with me, right? Otherwise,
Right.
you would maybe just go, oh, well, and just like brush that off and keep going. So the
Mm.
beauty of this work is like the ability to see some of those things earlier. So it does mitigate the vulnerability, but nothing's a sure thing. But at
Mm.
least when you're doing this work, you practice trusting your instincts.
Right.
Learning how to do that does take practice.
Mm.
You know, it's
Yeah.
not like you just wake up one day and you're like, oh, great, I can trust my instincts now. You have to practice it.
Yeah.
So,
Do do you feel like we have to make sacrifices? Because sometimes the people say, oh, you have to make a trade-off. If you want the guy to be really capable, confident, maybe he's not so caring. If the guy is caring, maybe he's not so, you
well,
know.
I do think that nobody's perfect,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're looking for perfect, you will end up alone.
Mm.
That said, it's good to know which things are more important to you, Do you want a guy who's a really big earner? He may
Mm.
not have as much time to spend with you during
Mm.
the day, right?
Mm.
If you
Mm-hmm.
got maybe you want a best friend who's with you all the time and you guys can do everything together. He might not be the biggest earner because he's spending all his time with you. You see what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, there's other ways to cherish a woman other than with money. Money's the easiest way, but men can cherish a woman's feelings by making dinner, giving massages, taking cherishing feelings. So it's not just about the money, but it is important to know what's important to you, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because
Yeah.
it's not fair to, for example, marry somebody because they're a good earner and then be upset that they're at work every day.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's good to be realistic.
Yeah.
And some of that's trial and error.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
You
That's
know.
true. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to move on because a lot of people have their hands
Thank
up.
you so much, Chloe.
You're so welcome.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Who's next here? Natalie. How do you find Chinese and Western astrology to be correct for compatibility? Oh, astrology's not really my thing. I can't really comment on that. Okay. Okay. Peng. My ex-wife divorced. Is Peng in here? Yes. My ex-wife divorced me, but still blocks me from seeing my daughter. I have done all I can, but no use. I not just simply go to her home to force her right. So what she really wants to get, I wonder. Okay. This is something that sounds more like it's a legal issue. Um, and I think paying your remedy is probably going to court, calling the police, and trying to go that route. I can't really help with that. Okay. Okay. Who's next? Let's see here. Okay, Rose.
Hey,
Hi, Rose.
thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome. How can I help you?
So I heard others question comment that I have something follow up. For example, I remember you say can meet several people. Oh, sorry, meet several people at the same time, right? But the other day, I also saw girls were commenting, see whether a guy was seeing them or also seeing other women. But I'm thinking, if we are allowed to see different people for the reason we haven't decided who that will be yet, um, will guys think we're cheating if we're seeing different people?
Well, you're not in a relationship until that's been articulated. So one of
Okay.
the problems that a lot of times what happens is women tend to think, "Oh, we're in a relationship," and we get like overcommitted, and the guy's still on the apps.
Well, there are some girls when they start to get matched and they will send out like in a group and say, "Hey, anyone seen this guy?
Oh,
We're
really?
going to meet." So yeah,
Oh, she was maybe trying to get information on him?
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you the assumption is that you're seeing other people
Hmm.
unless it's been you know what I'm saying? Unless it's been articulated that you're not,
Hmm. Okay.
you
Here's
know.
another question related to my personal kind of relationship question then. So here is a person. We're not in relationship. We had chemistry before. I don't know. We still have chemistry or not from his side, but
Okay.
that's about 10 months ago. We had
Okay.
chemistry, but because of his situation, we are not in relationship. It's like a friend. Uh, and a few months later, after that, say we're friends. Um, we were. He was asking whether we'd like to be intimate, and say no until your situation is clear. It's not so complicated. And
Right.
after that, our conversation died down a little. Uh, Actually, gradually died down more, like once a week or even less than once a week now. but he did like send me photos, regular photos, nothing weird,
Uh-huh.
about once or twice a month. I was, I can't say no to him because it's regular photos. I can't say mean things or bad things. I don't need to, right? Because even just friends send me photos, that's fine. But that made me hard to forgive him. It's like I was trying to, we can't be in relationships, so I try
Right.
not to
So you're
have
trying to forget
chemistry.
him because every
Yeah.
time he sends the photo, he's stoking that chemistry and making you feel bad
Yes.
again. Yes, 100%. I hear what you're saying.
I can't
So
forget
can you
him, but
block him?
well, but he's a nice person
Okay, but
and
maybe just tell him. Maybe just tell him.
okay.
Hey, I really enjoyed the time we spent together, and I appreciate you've been sending me photos as a way to stay connected, but it's it's making me feel bad.
I
What
don't feel
it is,
bad.
it is
I
making you
feel
feel bad.
I feel I can't forget him, but at the same time I can't have a relationship with him. It's
Right.
like
Say
kind of like it's the
so say
ordeal
that.
for
So
me.
say that. So it's making it hard for me to move on, you know?
Okay.
You could say that, or it's reopening the wound. Say whatever you want. I think it's fine to just say I feel bad. Feminine
Okay.
energy is I feel, and that's one word, right?
Okay. Oh, feminine energy. What kind of behavior is feminine
Well, it's leading with your
energy?
feelings. So,
Okay.
you know, and feelings are not all the time people are conflating thoughts and feelings. I feel like you're a jerk. I feel like you're you're trying to see if I'm still there for you. Those are thoughts. I
Mm,
feel bad when you email me. I feel bad when you send me pictures. I know your intent is good, but it makes me feel bad. Unless
mm,
we can be together, I'm not going to respond.
okay.
Usually I have better luck with people. Either you can block him or you can tell him you can continue to reach out, but I'm not going to respond because it makes me feel bad.
We're not even
Makes
in
it.
a relationship, so I can't even block him. It's like friends. If you have a
Okay.
friend, a regular friend, you
Is
can't
he
be
a
mean to
regular
them.
friend though?
We don't do anything intimate, so I thought that's regular friend.
But are you seeing him?
Not so often. Last time I saw him was in July.
Okay. And if you started dating somebody, are you going to keep in touch with him and keep talking to him when you get engaged to another man?
If just talk, yeah.
No, you're not. Not your
Oh,
husband's not going to want you to be talking to somebody that you've been
oh,
intimate
okay.
with, right? So that's what I mean. He's not really a friend. And it's
We
very
didn't have
difficult
intimate.
to what?
We didn't have intimate
But didn't you say you
relationship.
did fool around?
No, we had feeling, we had chemistry, but
Oh, but
we
you never
didn't get,
fooled around. Right. Okay.
that's right, we never
So
got into relationship.
think about it. Do you want your future husband, do you want him to be around a woman that he used to have chemistry with?
I see. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Some
Yeah.
of those relationships, when you're in a committed relationship with somebody else, some of those quote friendships with the opposite sex tend to drop off.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep, yep, totally.
Okay, so it's not that much of a friendship. You're not losing that much by telling him to stop texting you.
Okay.
He can let you know if something changes. Otherwise, you're moving on.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay. Mar. Hi,
Hi,
Mar.
Chloe. Hi, Chloe. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How can I help you?
So, okay. So during the pandemic, I pretty much realized ever since I was a kid, I always felt like there was something wrong with me emotionally. And in the pandemic, it kind of sort of I realized what it was. I'm in my mid 40s and I have been in a few long-term relationships, but I put men in two categories. One category is I can have a relationship with them and it grows and and I consider it healthy. And then
Mhm.
the other category is there's certain men that I just cannot even talk to because the chemistry is so strong that even if they try to express interest or flirt, I freeze completely. And I realized that it's my childhood and I had a lot of, narcissism within my family and my feelings were never really respected or acknowledged. So I understand all of that, but I just don't know what to do with this situation because this man that I've been attracted to for a couple years that I met at work, we ran into each other. There was moments where we would run into each other a lot. Um, we we worked together at one point, and there was just this really, I looked into his eyes, and I never had this experience before where I just felt like I was taken in another dimension. It was more than a spark. It was just like
Right. I know what you mean. I
flying
know what you
colors
mean. I know
everywhere.
what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah,
I've had
so
eye
that was
contact that just like, ah,
I've never had that before like that. Like it was like it felt like love at first sight. I don't
yeah.
know. But he had tried to reach out, like flirt, make a move. And I
Great.
pretend I try to act normal, but I just can't. I freeze up. And the moment where he tried to make a move, um, I pretty much rejected him. So he felt really rejected. I looked into his eyes again, and there was so much anger in him. Like he was
Yeah,
really
because he
upset.
probably felt that you let him on.
Yes, but it's not on a purpose. It really
Right. I
isn't. I
understand. I
really
understand. And this is
wanted to
something
reach
that
out, and I was,
happens. Yeah. This is
yeah,
some, I
so
mean, this is
attracted to him.
relatively common because our triggers primarily show up in intimate relationships. And so you
Mhm,
got triggered, and this is like sometimes, I'm really glad you're sharing this because a lot of times people get triggered, and that's what happens when somebody ghosts or just disappears, or everything was going great and now it's not, or this person's now causing a bunch of fights or acting crazy. It's because they
mhm,
get triggered and they leave. When you get
mhm,
triggered, the most important thing is you don't leave, because if you leave,
mhm,
you reinforce the trigger. So you
mhm,
don't want to do that. Whatever happens, you say you can't handle it. So what? Stay in there. You're going to have to incrementally desensitize. You're going to have to look for tools that can help you calm down so that in the moment you can act in your own best interest instead of sabotaging yourself.
mhm.
And I
I just don't
use
know how to do it because it's been years with this man. It's been years, and I'm pretty sure he's probably over it. Like he's done with it because I pretty much rejected him. But I get triggered every time I see him when I run into
right.
him, and it's not very often. But it sucks because it's been years. It's been since the pandemic started. And
Well,
so
I mean, I
I
think it's exciting that you have a lot of chemistry for somebody. So how can we figure out to get you guys together? Isn't that what
The
you want?
problem is though, Chloe, that I think that because there was anger in him, like I feel like we are attached because of our childhood traumas. That's how I'm
Right.
seeing it now.
But that
And
doesn't mean that that's okay. That doesn't mean that you guys can't heal together. It's very difficult
mhm,
to heal outside of the context of a relationship.
mhm,
So this is a really good opportunity for you to face some of your fears. I mean, basically what's happening is you're scared to get excited about something because you're worried it's going to get taken away. Okay? That's what
mhm,
happens when we have childhood trauma is when and we're disappointed or we're let down too often by the adults in our lives, is we decide it's too much work to get my hopes up again. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to assume it's not going to work out. And so you're in a
mhm,
place of pain addiction.
mhm. It's definitely not a place that I want to be in for sure. And I've struggled for forever,
Okay, so you've
really.
got to begin to incrementally desensitize, which is going to mean getting out there and flirting, going on dates, duty dating, even if it's not with this guy, and coming up with a strategy for how we're going to get with the guy that we're attracted to, how we're going to reopen that door.
Mhm.
So it's, it's obviously more than I can really answer. That's going to be a somewhat of a process. I mean, doing this work, you do see results often very quickly, but still, I mean, it's going to
Mhm.
take a little bit of time. Um,
Mhm.
but if you're motivated, it could go really fast. So, you know, look at my first book, look at what duty dating is, look at what the five flirts are, and just
Mhm.
start practicing. Do you want you want your feelings cherished or do you want your thoughts respected? Which do you want more?
Definitely feelings.
Feelings cherished.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know that. Um,
Yeah.
that's the first step. And so then it's going to be a matter of leading with your feminine in romantic situations. When you do that on a date with somebody that you don't really care about, then you're in a better position. You can be a little more relaxed when you go on a date with somebody that you do care about. You understand? It's practice.
Mhm.
It's incremental desensitization. It just means that you just keep practicing it and it will get easier. But that's the pain of change. There's two kinds of pain. The
Yeah.
pain that change needs to take place, that's kind of where you're at now. And the pain of change, which is going to mean changing your reactions to some of these triggers. But that's
Mhm.
going to be change for the better. That's going to have a greater reward.
I just think that it's so challenging, Chloe, because I look at my life, the trajectory of my life, and it's a certain type that I get this response with. So, with other people, if I don't like you, yeah, I'll flirt and I'll have a nice date, you know?
Right,
But
right,
it's the
right.
problem is when there's intense chemistry and it's a certain type, it's a certain look. And I see that it's someone who's a man who's really masculine. And I noticed that pattern. A man who's really
Can I ask you a
masculine,
question that's kind of
yes,
sensitive?
I don't think I have ever been sexually abused. Was that the question?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I
Okay.
have.
Okay.
I think it's more narcissism from my mom.
Okay.
And
Okay.
just never being acknowledged and I was very insecure, very low self-esteem, not confident, in
Right.
myself. I think that's really what did this situation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
yeah.
let's
But and then
not.
also my dad, both my parents are emotionally absent. So my dad is the passive one. He kind of lets things kind of happen and my mom takes reign, and so that
Yes.
was the dynamic. And so I've
Right.
always
So that's the
wanted to have
opposite of
the
what you
opposite.
want. Yeah.
Yes,
So that takes a
absolutely.
little more work.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
There's a tool that I teach. It's called the Hi Bye Letter. It's in my first book. It might even
Hmm.
be on my website. Look at that. And whether you're going to give it to him or not, go through the exercise of writing this guy a hi bye letter. And if you want, you can
Hmm.
bring it next week and we'll read it and we'll go through it and we'll decide whether or not we want to give it to him.
Well, it's at work, so all of it is very sensitive. We really don't know each other all that well. So, and it's
That's
a little more
okay.
sensitive
I'm
when
just
it's at
trying to
work.
find a way that you can reconnect with him. And these
I
letters
did,
often do that.
Chloe. I did see him last time crossing the street, and he's done this before to me where he has waved. And so I waved very nervously when he did it. So I saw him a couple months ago, maybe like a month ago. I waved and he waved back. Seriously.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
you could just say, I want to, are you available for coffee? And
So
just tell
Chloe,
him, yeah.
I did that. I actually invited him for coffee. He expressed interest. He said, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "Do you want me to give you my number?" And then I said, and then at that point, I freezed and I thought, "Oh my gosh, I'm being the masculine here in my mind. I was too much in my mind." And then I said, "Why don't you get my number?" And he's like, "Oh, sure." And so he got my number. but he never reached out.
Okay, that would normally be great, but since you already rejected him, he's not going to reach out. That's why I'm telling you to reach out.
Mm, hmm hmm
So how can I
Even
help?
though I did reach out with the coffee, I did invite him, and he said yes.
But you didn't
But
make the plan.
but yes, he
You didn't say at 6 o'clock at Primo Paso
exactly
or whatever. Right.
exactly.
So you
And
got to reach
he
out,
offered his number,
find
but I
him.
said,
Find him
yeah,
and get that coffee going and tell him where you're at. That's my advice. But, if you want to talk
yeah,
about it more, we can do that. But I think
okay,
there's a couple more questions.
okay. Thank you so much, Chloe. Thank you.
You are welcome. I hope that
Mhm.
helps. Okay. Yes, I saw you. Saeed. Hi, Saeed.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, thank you. How can I help you?
Well, so I just moved out to LA, and I don't really have too many friends out here or anything. Like I know some people, but I'm starting to see the whole culture of like LA of how like some people like flake and things like that. Um, and it's just been kind of hard to like really feel like I can connect with people a lot of times. Whether that's like romantically or platonically. Um, and back in like my hometown and everything, like even when I would travel, wherever, I was always the type of guy that could just be easily charismatic or like, flirt with people and, um, get the ball rolling, I guess. But
Yeah. Where are you from?
in the Bay Area
Oh, okay.
originally, yeah. But I just moved out here. And I'm in school, like college and stuff. But I've been like just trying to like get along with more people, trying to make friends, even like just meet girls. Um,
Yeah.
I when I first moved here, I was in like a long distance relationship, um, and we would just talk on FaceTime or whatever. But like a lot of times when I would try to go meet her back out in the Bay Area, she would flake, and it's like wow, like I
That sucks. Yeah.
came out, like all these things,
Yeah.
and then I
It's
got
not
in a car
working.
accident. Yeah, I got in a car accident, and you know, I went back to the Bay Area to like meet with doctors and stuff. Like, my family had picked me up, um, and the person I really just wanted to see the most wasn't even there. She flaked on me to get a new dog and this and
Uh,
that. Hung out with her
okay.
friends, like all this stuff, and then I don't know where she ghosted me. Like this was like a girlfriend, it wasn't like just somebody
Right, right,
I was
right.
just talking to, like it was kind of similar to like what happened in my first relationship where I kind of felt with an illness and it was a pancreatic cancer and like the person left too and was like laughing and I felt like this trigger from that,
Right.
almost. And so it's made it hard for me to like really trust like people. It's like I want to like connect with people, but I feel this um like it's kind of hard like at the same time because I feel it's so hard to trust people. I don't know people's intentions or if they really
Right.
care about me. A lot of time, like, a lot of girls like think I'm like good looking or whatever, but like I just don't want to know. Like I just don't want it to be like fake where like they just like the idea of me or something and then they get in a relationship and they leave and I feel abandoned again. Like
Well, you
I
said
don't know, I
something
don't know.
about your ex-girlfriend where you said,
Uh,
you were in long distance and then some things happened and you noticed that she was kind of flaking out on calls and that. So
Not calls, like when I would go meet with her.
or
Like
when
when I
you would
went,
go, right. So that
yeah.
stuff is a big deal. Like when people can't show up, when their words and deeds don't line up, and they literally can't show up, that's a big deal. So when you get into your next relationships, really look for that. Look for that integrity. Does this
Mhm.
person say what they mean and mean what they say? If they say they're going to be there at 5, are they there at 5? If they say they're going to a cooking class, did they go to a cooking class? Whatever it is, even if it's small things, that's something that you're going to need to look for because it seems like a couple times you've been taken advantage of or hurt, or, people don't necessarily go out of their way to hurt you. Like I said, people get triggered in relationships. And certainly if you have, like a life-changing type events, like you're talking about, being diagnosed with cancer, these things can trigger people and they just literally, they can't handle it. Um,
Mm,
Nobody's perfect, right? And we can all be
yeah,
jerks some of the time. But what you want to try to do with somebody is build a foundation of trust. And so
yeah.
that's where words and deeds lining up, being there for each other, the consistency, the longevity, that's where you would look for that more in actions than you would look in words.
Yeah. I guess like that's the thing. I kind of like come to terms with that stuff. Um, like after that, it was really like kind of okay. I'm not like taking that kind of BS anymore.
Right. Okay,
I
well,
think
what's
my
your
thing is
question for
now
me?
kind of like working against those like triggers. Like I just like it's like I want to connect. Like I used to be the type of guy that could just
You
you know
used to be more
talk like a
confident. Yeah.
yeah, and especially like moving out here like on my own, like for the first
And
time
I
and like
think when you're
everything.
making new friends and you're meeting new people, especially as a guy, you really have to put yourself in that weird, awkward position where you're like, hey, you want to hang out? You want to do something? Even with for friends.
Mm,
Um, and I know it's hard, but maybe if you can like set yourself some goals so that you're not necessarily putting pressure on yourself to do it all the time, but maybe you're like, okay, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go play pickleball or whatever it is. I'm gonna go take my dog to the dog park. I'm gonna try to connect with people, and then you can come home and kind of, lick your wounds or nurture your introverted side. But the point
mm.
is that you start making a pattern of where you're going out and looking to connect. And the best places are places where you have a common interest, but I have clients who are learning how to golf to meet people or who are getting dogs to meet people. So, you know, there's also that. I mean, LA can be hard because it's pockets. There's
Mm.
like pockets of things going on, but it's not necessarily one thing centralized, like it is in New York. And I'm not as familiar with San Francisco. So,
San Francisco's kind of pockets too, I would say.
oh, really? Okay. So,
Yeah.
Meetup is a really good resource. A lot of people on here make friends through Meetups. Some people make friends through the dating apps, alumni groups, church, Sierra Club, but mostly I like to get people offline and like out in the world. So doing things, going
Mm.
to museums, going to book, events, whatever it is that interests you. And you said you're in school, so that's a good resource too. I think as you get older, it's not the same. You don't have as many opportunities to meet people, and it is a little bit harder, and you have to put a little more work in. I would just
Mm.
say, especially when you're just starting out and just trying to meet people, even if you are triggered, talk back to that. This is just the first meetings. This isn't giving somebody a chance to abandon you. So if somebody rejects you, you don't even know them. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Rejection's gonna be part of the game regardless. So as much as you can just like, you know, brush that off and just keep moving, the better. And, set yourself a schedule. So you're, maybe going out 4 or 5 times a week and doing things. Or there's there was a guy in this meetup before who was going to a lot of karaoke's and meeting a lot of people there. He was very into singing and doing that. So it is possible. It's just uncomfortable and I think going to take a little bit more effort.
Yeah.
But let us know how it goes.
Thank you.
Try some of
Your
those
name was
things.
Chloe? Thank you, Chloe.
You're welcome. I love to hear your
Yeah.
guys' updates. Okay, last question, quick question. Alina.
Hello.
Hi, Alina.
Hi. Okay, I'll try to be really quick. I used to be married to a very abusive alcoholic. I have a lot of trauma from that I have worked on, and I've learned how to spot red flags almost too good now so that everything's a red flag, I think.
Right.
Um, but also I have currently have cancer, and I have like a strong paranoia about putting myself out there. I've tried like Bumble or dating apps,
Hmm.
and um I get paranoid that anybody that would want to be in a relationship with me with my illness would only be doing so because they'd want like take a life insurance policy on
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
Um
Are you okay. Okay, so there's a few things there. Are you familiar with the work of Gabor Mate?
I love him. Yes.
Okay, when the body says no and what he says about cancer and all that.
No, I'm not familiar with that, but I'm going to look into that.
Okay, yes. Okay, these two books, I'm going to put them into the chat.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, When the Body Says No and The Myth of Normal by Gabor Mate. And those go into really deeply into the body-mind connection and specifically for cancer. One of the things about cancer is never saying no. For if you're a woman, is never saying no and is being that overgiver. It's not that if you have that personality or those traits that that makes you have cancer, but that these are correlations that they've seen over time. Um, so I just think you'll get a lot out of looking at that. Do you know if you want to be in the feminine energy or the masculine energy? Do you want your feelings cherished or your thoughts respected?
I have been trying to figure that out since I think the last week when I
Okay.
came here. I just listened last week, but and I don't know, I can't pick one.
Okay.
I really don't know.
Some of us are pretty well balanced. Are you over age 45?
I'm about 40.
Okay. So as we get older, women become more masculine and men become more feminine due to hormonal drop-offs, probably around the age 45 or 50. Um, but if you have a very strong feminine side and a very strong masculine side, that means you're an alpha. And so it's a little trickier balancing those two sides. Um, you might want to try both, leading with your feelings and seeing how that goes, and leading with your thoughts and seeing how that goes. Maybe, with two different dates, for example, not with the same person, that will confuse them, but like you might want to try and see which one feels more authentic to you. And it's possible that with some people you'd be in your feminine and with some people you'd be in your masculine. So again, a lot of it's trial and error. Is your prognosis hopeful?
I think so. I mean, it's pretty
Okay.
advanced, but I think it's hopeful.
Okay, good. Okay, well, then I would look at those books. I want to make sure you're being selfish enough when you go out onto these dates. And that you're not cherishing a man's feelings. And so look at those books. And then when you go to meet men, when you go um to do any kind of flirting or the in-person flirt, um, lead with your feelings. He who talks first is masculine. You can give somebody eye contact and smile, but let them talk first. Now, as far as whether or not somebody's going to take advantage of you in your weakened state, the other side of it is you might find somebody who wants to make their life meaningful by taking care of you. Do you understand? You could find the opposite.
Yeah.
And the only way we're going to know is by, again, looking at people's words and deeds, trusting your gut instinct, seeing if he cherishes your feelings, doing some of these things. If you do have a question, obviously you can ask me. But these tools are a really great way to weed some of those people out.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
I'm gonna read these books for sure.
okay, good. Okay, well,
Awesome.
I'm going to sign off now. I know I didn't get to everybody's question. You guys can always reach out to me for a private or sign up for one of the modules, though those won't be happening until the new year. I will be available for privates during the holidays, but just I won't be doing Meetup and I won't be doing the modules during that time. These recordings are also available on wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. If I don't hear from you before then, I will see you next week. It'll be our last of 2025. I really look forward to it. It's been a great year growing this group, growing this community. Thank you for showing up and for doing the work. I'll see you next time.